Love it. Joe Canale is back, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Great, thanks.
Good. We had a Titanic story. I purposely thought you probably weren't that interested. But then again, it's a bunch of rich people offing themselves, so you kind of like that stuff.
Well, I do think I am anti-billionaire. So just generally speaking, I think we shouldn't generalize.
Right.
But I just said generally speaking. I think if you've acquired that much money, you've done something evil.
Yeah, most likely.
That's just my thing. Someone has to die for someone else to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
So I think
look how many
think
families
generally,
Facebook has brought together. How dare you besmirch Mr. Zuckerberg?
I want those guys to fight.
Yeah, right.
So bad.
Well,
why did we do that? I can't believe we didn't get that.
Joe, I made this observation the other day. You know, think back to the late 90s, early 2000s. I feel like these millionaires and billionaires were really doing the altruistic trend, right? You have Bill Gates foundations, you have Al Gore with the environment, and we're all trying to save the world and help each other. Now billionaires are just being idiots. They're going underwater, they're flying to space, they're cage fighting. What changed?
That's a really great observation. I think what has changed is that we are in an era of selfishness. Now, to become a billionaire, you need to be selfish, bottom line.
Right.
But I think it's been encouraged. Now, I just happen to know, I listen to history podcasts and crap. I think Andrew Carnegie was the first billionaire guy philanthropist.
Yeah.
And his idea was that, and even in this, there is a sociopathy. Andrew Carnegie believed that it was the billionaire's job to make as much money as possible any way you can so that you can then distribute the money the way you want to.
Right.
It's the idea that I'm doing this great stuff for society. Therefore, I could do anything I want to get the money that I can then use to build, universities and museums or whatever. So even in that philanthropic kind of attitude, it's built upon, I'll give money away as long as you allow me to make it as much as I want.
Yeah.
And I think I think we've even forgotten the philanthropic part of it all now. And it's just I'm going to make as much money as I want, and then I'm going to do whatever I want, which you're entitled to. But I'm a tax guy. Now, maybe it's because I don't have a lot of money and I've never paid a lot of taxes. But I feel like if everybody paid their taxes, all this shit would be great.
To Joe's point, the other trend too is when we were growing up, there was no buff billionaires. There were no billionaires that were, maybe there were and we weren't aware, but there were no billionaires that were a black belt, if there are belts, I don't know, in jiu-jitsu. Can
I call one out in particular? Yes.
And
yes.
You don't have to look good. You're a billionaire. But Elon Musk's got a fucking head full of air plugs. Zuckerberg's has got eighth belt in jiu-jitsu. And Bezos looks like an MFA fighter or whatever they're called. It's unbelievable.
It's HGH.
Oh,
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
All those guys, if you're a billionaire, you're certainly not sitting in a gym for 8 hours a day, which is what you would normally have to do to be 50-something years old and produce that kind of physique.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yes. So I used to work at Second City, and venture capitalists, that's the other thing. Everyone wants to buy everything. They want to have everything so that they can be in charge of everything. I guess it's an extension of the Carnegie attitude where it's I want it all so that I can decide what's best. But the guy who bought Second City owned Rockstar Games, which did that very famous, you rob people and shoot them video game.
Boy, take a number.
Fortnite?
Oh.
No, you got a car you're driving around.
Grand Theft Auto?
Grand Theft Auto.
How did you get that?
I don't know. I did go to college.
So anyway, this dude, and I'm going to call his name out, Strauss Zelnick. Look him up. He's older than me, and he takes pictures without his shirt on for some reason.
Jesus.
And he's not. I mean, he's buffer than me.
You're
but if I had access to HGH, I'd be just as buff as this guy is.
Yeah.
No kidding.
That's my personal Strauss Zelnick. I want to call him out. I want everybody to take a look at his pictures and laugh.
And see, the problem is you give us the buff billionaire that might be hard to spell, but these guys are pretty crack researchers. I think the HGH thing is when it first came, I was aware that was the new thing in Hollywood for a while, which of course it makes sense. But at the time, I was in Prague. This is so convoluted. Interviewing Eli Roth, who was doing a fake trailer for, remember those Grindhouse movies? One was done by Tarantino, and the other one was done by Robert Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, and they had fake Grindhouse trailers in it. And so on his off time, Eli would film Thanksgiving. Or it was called Thanksgiving Day, and it was a horror movie, and it was a fake trailer. And in it was Michael Biehn. His career, he's kicking ass again. He was the guy you played in Tombstone.
Okay.
And he was in Terminator. He used to be in everything. And he came there, and he was probably about 53 at the time. The dude, not a crack on him, gorgeous, and we all got drunk with him, and I wasn't gonna fucking rat him out, but now I don't think it mattered. But he just oh, it's HGH. Everyone's doing it. He's like, it's not just good for my skin. It's the workouts. It's the time in between the workouts.
Yep.
And he felt like it made him smarter. I don't know. Who knows what that's psychosomatic, whatever. And that never even occurred to me because I'm stupid. With someone like Stallone, you'd say steroids, right? But it didn't occur to me that everyone was doing it. And then Stallone gets busted much later on in Australia or something, and he embraces it. He's like, sometime down the line, they're going to be selling this shit at Dwayne Reed. I don't know why it's so hard for everyone to get their hands on. And now all I can think about is that I want HGH. And why are only the fabulous people have it?
It's like mushrooms, too. The totally different thing. But you're not gonna get buff taking mushrooms, everybody. But you might think you are. But same thing. Well, you'll have the same sense of self-worth if you take it. You just won't look quite as good. You'll look a little more kind of miserable and pale and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But it probably will be available. And all those guys are also taking it because they think it'll make them live forever. That's the other thing with billionaires is right now, I believe they think that the technology is in front of them, where if they just have enough money, they can buy eternal life. I think that's kind of what they're thinking.
You are so right.
So, they want to live forever, so they need to have all that money.
They cannot imagine a world without them.
Yeah.
It just defies their belief. All the Google guys, all they're doing is putting their money into age extension. Yeah. I believe both Bezos and Zuckerberg have offshoots that are working on that. There's no way we could exist as a global society without these wonderful men. So totally.
That's what they think.
Yeah. I've never got that. I think I've already lived 47 years too long. But that is a thing.
Speaking of age, this is a good segue.
Oh.
Well, now see, we should probably weigh in on whether it's a good segue. Let's see.
Okay. An Olympic rower is turning 40.
Okay, I guess that works.
He's Australian. I don't know why that matters. Samuel Locke. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Samuel. But he says birthdays are for women and children.
I love this guy.
The two-time bronze medalist, you suck, at the World Rowing Championships took a controversial stance on birthdays when he was asked about his approaching 40th. He said, "My outlook is largely that birthdays are for women and children and that merely surviving another lap around the sun," and it's interesting he says lap because he is a rower, it is not necessarily a reason for celebration. However, his wife brought the idea to him in another way, and now he says, "However, my wife made a good point a few years back that birthdays are an opportunity for the people that love you to celebrate you, and that softened my position a little." Now, here's the really weird part. He did say that he added that turning 40 appealed to him more because he liked round numbers.
That's adorable, I guess. It's a positive way of looking at an otherwise big and sometimes depressing moment in one's life.
Fuck 35 because it's odd. So how do you feel about this, Joe? Birthdays, are you a big birthday celebrator? I like to take the whole month. I have lots of friends. I gotta spread it out.
She is not kidding. We legit have a happy birthday month graphic for our Joe. It's a whole month.
we have a very, my wife and I have, this is an excellent topic for me because my wife thinks that my family are Jehovah's Witnesses in our birthday celebrations or lack thereof, in that she doesn't think we have them.
Yes.
And, and this is true. This has become obvious to me after my youth, where my parents said you get one birthday party as a kid that you can invite friends to. So,
Oh wow,
so
that's
all,
hardcore. That is a
so
little more
like,
Jehovah than even our upbringing.
and so, we would celebrate with the family and my grandmother make a cake or whatever, but a kid birthday party. Now I have two kids, and I have never not had a birthday party with a bunch of kids for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can't celebrate a birthday with a kid now without everyone. What my issue with the guys thing is saying that birthdays are for women and children. Like why is he separating women into
Yeah.
again, I feel like he could have said it's for children and gotten away a little bit better and not having
Yeah.
it's a,
I think
well,
I've
they
always
shouldn't lump the women in with the children
Yeah.
I
unless
think
it's
he was
unless
just
it's getting
talking
off the
about
Titanic.
Joanne because I've always said Joe's just a little lady baby. I think he just meant all in one. Birthdays are meant for Joanne. I think that's
Yeah.
what he was
Well, my
talking about.
wife is like that too. If I were to, but I don't. Again, I've mentioned my not wanting to generalize while I continue to do it.
Exactly.
But yeah, every birthday for and here's another thing. My wife's family, there's divorce. So I think that adds another like now she's got two birthday parties and then two Christmases. So
Uh,
everything becomes a bigger deal because
Mm-hmm.
you got to celebrate it because if you don't, then this is another, it's another check mark against a divorced kid. So maybe that's what it all is.
you have to do
Everybody's making up for something else.
you have to
Sure.
do incremental a little attacks at these traditions. I think if you've got a family big or small, like we have progressively, and now we're getting back to it because I've got a lot of nieces and nephews, but we have progressively made birthdays less and less of a big deal. And
But as the
Chris,
kids come up,
yeah, and then it's all out to now everything's back, and then with Christmas it went from everyone gets the presents, and now we draw numbers as to who gets who something,
Yeah.
and it's so much more financially better that way, and it just makes it less of a fucking presents I don't know, but you have to slowly chip away at the
you
big
know what I
birthday,
hate
big
about the
Christmas
presents?
complex.
Yeah. What?
The birthday party thing is, and this is something I live in LA and I actually live in the Valley, but there's a pretty wide swath of income out here. So birthday parties, it's like there's a thing like, do you open the gifts with the kids at the birthday party or do you just leave the gifts and afterwards? Because I prefer leaving them for a number
Yes.
of reasons. One is just who needs to see 25 minutes of gift opening at
Oh
a
my
party?
God. Ugh.
And then it's like the levels of the gifts and all that stuff, and it's like, wait, you got them a PlayStation 5?
Yeah.
I thought there was a $20, It's oh well,
But let me
we had
tell you, the
to.
So
satisfaction
true.
of when the kid opens your gift. This happened to me last year. My best friend's 3-year-old son. My husband and I got him like a little like toy airplane, but it came with power tool kind of thing. Stuff good for a 3-year-old, but you could like fix and assemble this airplane. And he's opening all these gifts, whatever, and then he opens ours, and then he kept going back to our gift.
Oh God.
He liked it the best. And so that is what's satisfying. But I think for the adults who want the gifts opened, that's why. Because they're like, oh no, my gift is good. But
Right.
you end up feeling really shitty if the kid just ignores your gift and goes on to something else.
They don't like
But
mine.
you're probably a good gift buyer. That's the other thing. So is my wife, and
Yeah.
she takes these things seriously. She likes having her birthday, and so she puts the same amount of. And I think that's the thing too. I could give two shits about my birthday, and
Yes.
so it's hard for me to. And I've told you why. My family raised me to not give a shit about her family. But when you get to that point with it, it's like you kind of treat everybody else's birthday the way you would want yours in a way, which is yeah, we get a cake and stuff, whatever. But but there's more of an obligation when other people have more expectation.
And you almost hope you're setting a precedent too. Like I always purposely make sure that God bless my folks, wonderful people. I have some sort of reason why I am unavailable on the weekend or week of my birthday, where there's no way we could possibly do a thing. And after year of doing this, you would think that there would be a message that is sent, and then you hope that precedent is sent where, okay, now your birthday is not as big of a deal either for other members of my family. That doesn't seem to have happened for me. I have not planted the seed that I thought.
You can't, no.
Yeah.
You can't lower someone's enthusiasm about something based on your own.
I was hoping I was setting an example.
Make mine a cinnamon roll man. How the brooding alpha male is being replaced by a sweeter, kinder heartthrob type, like Harry Styles and Timothy Chalamet. Dubbed the cinnamon roll man. I'm not entirely sure why. That's given a 2 fingers up to toxic masculinity, with a passion for high culture, ethical collaborations, and beautiful clothes, while still loving their mums. This is from the Daily Mail. The cinnamon roll man is apparently on the rise. Get it? Like dough rises.
That's a bit of a...
Actually, the origins are apparently from romantic literature, where a new generation of writers are featuring male protagonists who are anything but the traditional knight in shining armor, reflecting a more modern, less overtly masculine male. I think this makes sense. I do think we are seeing this more. I do think Harry Styles is an excellent example of that. I am somewhere in between the cinnamon roll man and the super toxic masculine man.
Really kinky.
I'm like an Adam Levine, okay?
Adam.
Tattoos, but sings in a high falsetto. I'm in between, you know?
He's showing his range.
Yes.
He can go from nice dude to douchebag.
Yes, yes.
But he doesn't live in either one, so that is good. There's a variety for you.
He maybe cheated on his pregnant girlfriend, but he's having babies. He's a dad, you know? It's like in between. Do you think this is a step in the right direction for younger generations, for women, cinnamon roll men? What's your take?
I think, honestly, maybe it's because I have 2 daughters, and people are going to get mad when I say this, but I don't see the use in men much at all. I really don't, honestly. It's just, at least in the last couple thousand years, they've had pretty much the whole handle on everything. And I'm ready for a change, honestly. And maybe it's because I'm lazy.
I am completely...
Maybe it's because I'm like, you know what? Give all the work to the women. Take this however you want. It could be one way or the other. Either I'm saying the men have screwed it all up, or I'm just lazy and want someone else to do it.
You said
Either
it
way,
so
a change
much,
is good.
You said it so much better, but I'm certainly not in the position of father, but I've got 2 delightful, adorable nieces, and I'm just praying that they're both going to be lesbians. No need for the guys. At all.
Well,
I take the
'cause you're a
next level
guy.
after Chalamet, which would just be a, kind of a butch chick. And go for them.
I'm honestly I do when I see a macho, like the two billionaires who want to fight each other.
Yeah.
Like that, if you have that instinct, let them fight it out. If you could separate it where that kind of attitude never really, you could put all the people who feel that way together. Maybe mostly they are in Florida or whatever, but it's the intermingling of douchebags and regular people that's probably a problem. I'm not asking for any kind of douchebag segregation.
Yeah.
But
I am.
But it might be a good idea.
But I do find generally toxicity meets toxicity. There's somebody for everybody, and you generally kind of stay in your lane when it comes to attraction.
We all have things that we like. I've only dated comedian women.
There
Pretty
it is.
much
Yeah, you're right.
There you go.
And
that might be a proximity thing because I've never been around any of them.
completely.
Again,
yeah.
you're lazy.
I only ever dated, and now I can't date anyone anymore because it's a different climate. But I only ever used to date coworkers because you can kind of you have time to sort of win them over. Bars or any of that stuff. I could
Win them over or wear them down.
I was about to say wear them down, and I edited myself.
God, no, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have because it's more accurate.
Yeah, it's more
It
accurate.
really is.
But what you were describing, I believe, is the a-hole theory. Remember that sketch in Saturday Night Live? Hey, babe. Hey, babe, doesn't that guy look like a rabbit? Like, that a-hole was meant for that other a-hole.
yes.
They found each other.
Yep.
That's their lane.
Exactly.
So it's the
There's
a-holes.
somebody for everybody. So, if you like cinnamon rolls, feast on it.